Life has a strange way of teaching us lessons. The more we try to control every little detail, the outcomes, the timing, the way people respond, the more frustrated and exhausted we become. We plan our lives down to the smallest steps, thinking that if we just try harder, push more, and never let go, things will finally fall into place. But what if I told you that the opposite is true? That the moment you stop forcing, stop grasping, and start trusting, everything begins to flow effortlessly. It's not about giving up. It's about understanding where your power truly lies. The Stoics mastered this way of thinking centuries ago. Marcus Aurelius once wrote about the importance of accepting what comes naturally and not wasting energy fighting against reality. He understood that struggling against things beyond our control only leads to suffering. The real battle is always within, training the mind to focus on what can be shaped and letting go of the rest. And that's exactly what we're diving into today, the mindset shift that can transform the way you approach success, relationships, and even your own peace of mind. Because if you're constantly stressed, feeling like no matter what you do, things just don't seem to go your way, there's a reason for that. You might be holding on too tightly to things that aren't meant to be controlled in the first place. This video isn't just another self-improvement talk. This is about something deeper, how to live with true confidence, to move through life with a sense of calm and certainty instead of anxiety and frustration. And trust me, if you watch until the end, you'll walk away with a completely different perspective on how to get what you want in life without chasing it desperately. Before we get into it, there's a simple free favor I'll ask you. If you appreciate what we're doing here, hit the subscribe button. It takes less than a second, but it helps bring this content to more people who need it. Let's dive into the first pillar of Stoic power. Number 1, detach from the outcome. We spend so much of our lives obsessing over results, waiting for that job offer, hoping that relationship works out, stressing over whether our efforts will pay off. We tell ourselves that if we just work a little harder, push a little more, we can force things to go our way. But what happens? The more we cling to a specific outcome, the more anxious we become. The process stops feeling fulfilling, and our happiness becomes entirely dependent on something we can't fully control. This is the trap of the modern mind. We are slaves to the what if. Epictetus, who was born a slave but died a master of his own mind, taught that we suffer not because of what happens, but because of our attachment to what we want to happen. He said, "Do not seek for things to happen the way you want them to. Rather, wish that what happens happens as it should, and you will be happy." This means shifting your entire focus. Instead of tying your happiness to a final result, you must find joy in the discipline itself. Think about an artist painting a masterpiece. If they are obsessed with how the world will judge the painting, their hand will tremble. They lose the flow. But when they detach from the frame and focus only on the tip of the brush, that is when genius emerges. The same applies to your life. When you stop fixating on how things must turn out, you give yourself the freedom to actually perform at your best. You become a force of nature, calm, steady, and unstoppable. Detachment is not about not caring. It is about the ultimate self-respect. It is saying, "I will give my absolute best, and whatever the world decides to give back, I am already complete." This principle of detachment is especially true in our connections with others. Have you ever seen someone try too hard to impress another person? Their energy feels needy, desperate, and forced. This desperation energy acts like a repellent. It pushes the very thing you want further away. But look at the person who is confident, at ease with their own company, and not obsessed with validation. They naturally attract people. Why? Because they are not controlled by the fear of being alone. They trust the natural order of things. They are like a mountain. They do not move to seek the clouds. The clouds come to them. When you stop needing a particular response from people, you start receiving their respect. You move from a position of a beggar to a position of an emperor. Take a moment right now and ask yourself, what am I holding on to too tightly? What expectation is causing me to lose my sleep? Imagine releasing that grip, not quitting, but simply trusting. That is the birth of true confidence. Number 2, master your mindset. Life throws challenges at us constantly, like a relentless tide hitting a stone shore. Some days everything flows effortlessly, and other days it feels like the entire world is conspiring against you. But here is the truth that the weak never understand. The difference between people who crumble under pressure and those who thrive isn't luck, it is mindset. The way you think shapes the very fabric of your reality. And if you don't learn to master your mind will become your most brutal master. You cannot always control what happens around you, the economy, the betrayal of a friend, or the sudden obstacles that block your path. But you have absolute authority over how you respond. That is where real power lies. Most people are reactive. They are like dry leaves in the wind, blown away by every piece of bad news. But a Stoic is the wind itself. When you shift from reacting to responding, you stop being a victim of your circumstances and start being the architect of your fate. Psychologist William James, the father of modern psychology, echoed the Stoics when he said, "The greatest weapon against stress is our ability to choose one thought over another." You don't have to believe every dark thought that enters your mind. You don't have to let every difficult moment define your worth. You are the observer, the emperor, sitting on the throne of your consciousness. You decide which thoughts are allowed to stay and which are executed at the gates. Think of your mind like a fortress. If the walls are weak, even a small rumor can tear it down. But if you train your mind through daily discipline, no army can breach your peace. Let's look at a real example. Imagine you're going through a tough time at work or in your business. You keep making mistakes, the pressure is mounting, and you feel like a failure. The average person thinks, "I'm not good enough, I'll never succeed." That is a fixed mindset, a self-imposed prison. But what if you changed that thought? What if you said, "This pressure is my forge. Every mistake is a lesson I won't have to learn again"? That is a growth mindset. This is what the Stoics called amor fati, a love of fate. Not just accepting the struggle, but loving it because you know it is making you stronger. Seneca, the great Stoic advisor, once said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." Think about lifting weights in a gym. If the weight isn't heavy, the muscle doesn't grow. If life isn't challenging, your character stays weak. Every setback is actually a heavy rep designed to build your spiritual muscle. You are being trained for something greater. You are being prepared to lead, to endure, and to conquer. Do not pray for an easy life. Pray for the strength to endure a difficult one. But let's be honest, mastering your mindset isn't a one-time event. It is a daily war. You have to guard your mind every single morning. Your mind is like a garden. If you are lazy and do not tend to it, weeds of fear, doubt, and negativity will take over. But if you plant seeds of strength, clarity, and resilience, you will harvest a life of peace. How do you plant these seeds? By controlling your inner dialogue. Stop telling yourself stories of defeat. Another way to strengthen your mind is to stay in the absolute present. Stress is almost always a ghost of the past or a shadow of the future. But in this exact moment, right now, you are okay. You have breath. You have life. The next time panic tries to seize you, ask one simple question. What is my task right now? Focus only on the next step. One step, taken with total presence, can snap you out of any crisis. The Stoic does not worry about the mountain. The Stoic only worries about the next placement of his foot. This level of focus makes you dangerous to your problems. It makes you untouchable. Remember, the world can take your possessions. It can take your status, but it can never take your ability to choose your next thought. That is the only thing that is truly yours. Number 3, trust in divine timing. Patience is not just a virtue, it is a discipline of the highest order. It is one of the hardest things to practice, especially when you are pouring your soul into a goal and seeing no immediate harvest. You've done the work, you've kept the discipline, and yet the doors remain closed. It's frustrating, isn't it? The modern world has poisoned our minds with the lie of instant gratification. We want success now, love now, and recognition now. But the universe does not operate on your frantic schedule. It moves according to its own ancient rhythm. The Stoics understood this deeply. Epictetus once said, "No great thing is created suddenly." Think about the majesty of an oak tree. It does not rush to reach the sky. It spends years deepening its roots in the dark, silent earth before it ever shows its strength to the world. You cannot force a tree to grow faster by pulling on its branches. You will only break it. The same is true for your life. There is a season for planting and a season for reaping, and they are rarely the same season. When you learn to trust the timing of your life, you free yourself from the agony of when and why not yet. You stop being a slave to the clock and start becoming a master of the process. This leads us to a profound realization. Number 4, act with purpose, not desperation. Have you ever noticed that when you desperately chase something, it seems to move further away? Whether it's a career milestone or the respect of others, the more frantic and needy your energy, the more it slips through your fingers. Desperation is a loud, weak energy. It signals to the world that you are not whole, that you are lacking, and that you are afraid. But purposeful action is silent and heavy. It signals strength. There is a powerful difference between chasing and attracting. The Stoic does not chase. The Stoic becomes so valuable, so disciplined, and so grounded that opportunity has no choice but to find him. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." Desperate action comes from fear. Fear of being left behind. Fear of failure. But purposeful action comes from clarity. When you know who you are and what you stand for, your movements become deliberate. Think of a seasoned predator in the wild. It does not run around in circles hoping for a meal. It waits. It watches. It moves only when the moment is perfect. That is the energy you must embody. Stop scrambling. Stop begging the universe for a break. Build your character. Sharpen your skills. And move with the quiet confidence of an emperor. We live in a culture that glorifies the hustle. The idea that if you aren't constantly stressed, you aren't working hard enough. But the Stoics taught a different way. Aligned action. It means doing everything within your power with 100% intensity, and then having the wisdom to step back and let the results take care of themselves. Socrates once said, "To do is to be." This means that your growth is in the act of doing, not just in the trophy at the end. If you are always focused on the when, you miss the transformation of who you are becoming. Imagine an archer. He can choose the best bow, fletch the perfect arrow, and train his aim for years. But the moment the arrow leaves the string, it is no longer in his control. A gust of wind, a sudden movement. The outcome belongs to fate. The Stoic archer finds his peace not in hitting the bullseye, but in the perfection of his draw. If you can reach a point where your self-worth is tied to your effort and not the world's applause, you become dangerous. You become a person who cannot be discouraged. You become someone who trusts that if something is meant for you, it will arrive exactly when you are strong enough to carry it. Not a second too early and not a second too late. Number 5, let go of control. Have you ever felt utterly exhausted from trying to micromanage the universe? You plan, you push, you strategize, and yet life still takes its own turns. The harder you grip the sand, the faster it slips through your fingers. This is the ultimate Stoic paradox. The moment you let go of the need to control, life finally starts to work in your favor. Epictetus said, Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. True freedom isn't about ruling others or accumulating gold. It's about the silence in your mind when the world is screaming. Think about your relationships. How much energy have you wasted trying to change someone, trying to force a partner to be more supportive or a friend to be more loyal? People are not yours to edit. When you release the need to control them, you stop being a prisoner of their behavior. You reclaim your peace. The same applies to your success. Seneca once said, "Fate leads the willing and drags along the reluctant." If you fight the natural flow of life, you will be dragged. But if you trust your preparation and release the outcome, you move with the grace of an emperor. Imagine walking into a high-stakes meeting, not needing the win, but trusting your value. That lack of desperation is exactly what makes you the most powerful person in the room. Number 6, embody the energy of abundance. Why do some people seem to attract opportunities effortlessly? It isn't magic, it's perception. The Stoics knew that wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. When you operate from a mindset of scarcity, believing there isn't enough success, enough love, or enough time, you vibrate at the frequency of fear, and fear always repels. But when you embody abundance, you realize that you already possess the only thing that matters: your character and your reason. Think of two musicians. One is terrified of the competition, hiding their best work, acting from a place of lack. The other believes the world is wide and opportunities are endless. They share, they risk, they grow. Who does the world reward? The one who acts from strength. Your mind is a radar. It finds what it is looking for. If you look for proof that life is hard and resources are low, you will find it. But if you train your mind to see abundance, to see every rejection as redirection and every challenge as a forge, you shift your entire reality. This is not positive thinking. It is Stoic realism. It is understanding that the universe is vast and you are a vital, capable part of it. Stop acting like a beggar at the gates of your own life. Stand up. Recognize the wealth of your own soul. Number 7, take aligned action. Then step back. Real progress is knowing when to strike and when to be still. Like a farmer, you prepare the soil and water the seeds with total discipline. But then you must have the courage to walk away and let the sun and earth do their work. If you dig up the seeds every hour to check for progress, you will only kill the harvest. Life works the same way. You've done the work. You've built the mind. Now, trust the process. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his private journals, "Do what you must and let what happens, happen." This is the essence of being unshakable. You are no longer a slave to the what if. You are a master of the now. As we conclude this journey, take a deep breath. Release the tension in your shoulders. Let go of the need to know how everything ends. You are stronger than you think, and you are exactly where you need to be to grow into the person you are meant to become. Real power comes from within. If this wisdom resonated with your soul, there is another video on your screen right now that will take you even deeper into the fortress of your mind. Click it, keep learning, and keep practicing the art of living deliberately. And if you haven't joined our Legion yet, hit that subscribe button. This is Aion Stoic. We don't just study history, we build the future. Stay strong, stay stoic,